All right. So, Jasmine.
Yes.
You came to me with a bunch of questions.
I did.
All right. So let me back up. Hold on. Let me turn this off. I'm actually giving them a 2-for-1 special tonight. I didn't think I would be doing a second chat, but I had some other things pop up, and I try to help people and pay it forward whenever I can. Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's do this. Tell them who you are and what you asked me, because you said some things to me that a lot of people say, and I think this would be a good way to kind of get that information out there for other people.
Absolutely. So I reached out to you. We are actually in a mutual Facebook group together, and I saw you dropping knowledge in the group, and I was like, hey, this is somebody I need to reach out to. He seems to be pretty knowledgeable.
Flattery you everywhere.
Yeah, so I sent you a message on Facebook, and basically, like I say, I'm Jasmine. I'm 30 years old, and working abroad has definitely been something that has always been my heart's desire. But I guess I just let my fear of the unknown hold me back from that. And I guess I really decided to step out on faith. This past June, I took a trip to China for 2.5 weeks, and that was just amazing. It was such an amazing experience, and it just made me realize, like, what are you doing, Jasmine? You're not living your heart's desire. So I just want, I'm currently in corporate America. I work for the federal government here in the U.S.
Don't get specific. I don't want FBI coming knocking on my door, the CIA.
No, nothing top secret like that. And so basically, I just want out of the rat race, the hustle and bustle of corporate America. It's no longer fulfilling to me. I currently have a bachelor's and a master's degree. And one of the things that I really regret in life is I had an opportunity to study abroad undergrad. Okay. And it was actually in Spain. But I decided not to do it because at that time my focus was on graduating. And had I taken this study abroad program, it would have prevented me it would have put me back graduating, like maybe a semester, maybe a year. And at that time, it was all about graduating and getting a job and getting out into the workforce. But that's something that one of the biggest.
There was nobody on your team. There was nobody on your team that tried to impart to you the value of that life overseas.
No, not really. There were people within my college circle, the group that I was in a group called Trio. So, they were encouraging me to do it, but I don't know, at that time, my mindset was just on graduating and getting into grad school and so on and so forth. So
when you say trio, what do you mean?
So Trio is a program. It is under the Upward Bound.
I went to Upward Bound.
All right, so Trio is under the umbrella of Upward Bound.
Yeah. I was Upward Bound Math and Science.
Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah, so Trio is basically for first generation college students. So if you go to a college in your first generation college student, you're able to get into the Trio program. So they offer a lot of support services like tutoring, cultural experiences. So that was the program that I was actually going to do the study abroad through, had I taken that opportunity. But long story short, I'm sorry.
I'll tell you listening real quick while you're still in university. You don't know this. Most people don't. There are tons of programs for university students to go abroad or even in the United States for free. It's like any quality information. That information is hidden. You have to actually look for it. You got to go to all the offices in your school, every department, and say, what do you do internationally or nationally? Because most of the quality programs they're not going to tell people about. There's very specific people, generally people who already come from advantages in life, get those things. But my famous story, when I first got involved with that, I got my school. They paid me to go to Hawaii for 6 months, and I lived there and went to school there. I encourage everybody to go to, I run YusefWateef.com where I write, but go read God Mode, the Hawaii Hustle. And I got to do that.
Okay. Wow. So that's one of the biggest regrets that I have in life, and I kind of feel like that now. If I don't take this opportunity to go abroad and work and live, I know this will be a regret that I have. So I'm just ready to do it.
And say hello to brother Jeremy. He's here. I told him to share his thoughts as well. Well, you
Hi,
already
Jeremy.
did something. You already did something huge when you went to China. That's something most people will never ever be a part of.
Absolutely.
The fact that you did that and it got you to see the world, and now, I mean, by the way, you're 30. Don't have any regrets. You're 30. It's not the game just started. It's okay. No, way back up. You're 30 years old with 2 university degrees. Calm down with the whole I have regrets thing. You got plenty of time to fuck up. Just you haven't yet. Okay, you got plenty of time. I've seen people fuck up so late in life, but you haven't done any yet. So here's what I would say. What did you do? You said you did a TEFL or a TOEFL?
So that's what I was looking into, to getting that certificate.
What you want is, what we're looking at is, for those who don't know, I'm going to put that on the screen of a TEFL definition, because they're two teaching English certificates. They both have different meanings and different things. You already have an enormous advantage, right? Right now, because you already have a university degree, you are way ahead of the curve. TEFL is a teaching of English to people whose first language is not English, especially people from a country where English is not spoken. TEFL is an abbreviation for teaching English as a foreign language. Then there's another one called TOEFL. Okay. The test of English as a foreign language is a test which measures people's English language skills to see if they're good enough to take a course at university. What you want is TEFL. Okay, you want to be a teacher of English as a foreign language. There are a lot of quality programs out there. I'll give you the first tip I'm going to give you is, if you want to do this, you don't do it in the United States. There are places where you can go study the program in another country. You could conceivably start your career by saying, I'm going to go to Spain for a month or 2 months or however long the program is, and get the certificate there and either stay in Spain or go someplace else. Where you are in life, there are a lot of really quality programs. What you want to do is look up also, there's something called Cambridge. And for the record, I didn't do these. I came out of university and I had enough experience to go right into it. But TEFL Cambridge is what you want to look for. And I'm looking for a few things to, let's see, because it's an accreditation. And you can get a CELTA, certificate in teaching English. It can be a pretty big deal, especially if you're looking at where we are. It's not like it was 10 years ago where somebody could just get off an airplane, speak English, and go teach. What's happening now? People like you and me are on the battlefield. People who have university degrees, university level education, and are learning to teach English. That means it's competitive. The good news is, and I tell this to anyone who will listen, teaching English abroad, you can make an upper middle class living everywhere in the world. And a lot of people don't know that. Even if you don't go beyond it. I'm an editor, copywriter, proofreader. I do a lot of other things. But even if I chose to stick at, I'm just going to teach English, you can make an above middle class income everywhere. Now, an above middle class income in Japan is going to be more than an above middle class income in Brazil. Just two different economies.
Absolutely.
So I would definitely say, give yourself a drop dead date. Today is what, August 29th, August 30th?
Yeah.
Decide on a date and say, here is what, because do you have any kids?
I don't. It's just
no
me.
man, no husband? Good, because we'll only slow you down. 30 years old. When is your birthday?
My birthday is October 19th.
Wow. You should make a decision to say on your birthday, you're going to wake up in another country.
Listen, so I had said by the beginning of 2020, but that's even better. That's even better. And so what I guess that's I'm glad that you said that, because I had been looking at the programs online. So your advice would be actually go to the country and do it there. Okay.
My first advice wouldn't even be to say that country, my first piece of advice would say, look at all the TEFL academies all over the world, find one that's in alignment of what you can afford in a country you like, and go there, because you don't have to stay there. You can get the TEFL certification, and I'll help you filter through, and we can do a follow-up where I'll give you an email template that I give to some of my clients, because for people who don't know this, people pay me to do what I'm doing with her right now, and I'm giving you the game for free. You can ask for more and we can work together, but I'm giving you a lot of this for free right now because I just want to help as many people as I can. I'll give you a template, and you'll send that email template to all the different schools you're interested in and see who replies to you. And they'll say, well, yes, we do this, we don't do that, we help with jobs, we don't help with jobs. So that when you graduate during that last week, you're constantly sending off your information to places. Now, there are two ways to look at when you go to teach English. And I'm going to give you two different scenarios, and they're both valid. One of them, you get your TEFL certificate and you decide to immediately go to work for yourself, just find a country and start setting up classes and as a business. I suggest that's a lucrative option. You may even make more money that way. But I always tell people, if it's your first time, take your first year and go to the most structured place on earth. Do you know what the most structured country on earth is?
China.
Ooh, yeah, China. And there's another one, because you're right, there are two. China is one.
I don't know.
I think China would come in number two because
Really?
dun dun dun, the Japanese.
Okay, that would have been my second.
I was in Tokyo, Japan for a couple years. And I worked for an amazing company out there. Not amazing because they're special, but they give you all the structure you need to simply be a plain vanilla English teacher. Let me say that again. Nothing special came of it. You just learn to be an English teacher. And what does that do? It gives you all the basics. It gives you how to control a class, how to conduct a class. I would also say, and by the way, this is the company. And listen, they were good to me. This was a company that paid very well, had very good classes. I think the maximum number of people in classes were 4 or 5. And it's almost all teaching adults. That's something else a lot of people don't know. One of the reasons you can get a middle-class living out of this is because if you go to a school where they're only teaching business executives and adults, well, of course, the salary goes up. Now, some people do have the patience to go to go and deal with children, but it's not as lucrative, and it's just a different feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually was one of my questions. I actually had met a young lady while I was there in China, actually in Hong Kong, that mentioned, with a master's degree, it's possible to teach at a university or college level.
Yes.
English there.
Yeah. It's absolutely possible. But I always say at the same time, you got two options. One, if you were to come to a place like Sao Paulo, Brazil, if I'm here, I've helped some people who are just getting into the game, taught them how to structure a business, because teaching English, it's just like any other skill in the world. You can do it for a company where they take care of all the little details and you just do your job. There's a lot to be said there. But then there's also the concept of, I'm just going to structure everything. Because I have a lot of experience with the teaching part, I learned how to set up my business because I retired, semi-retired at 37. Before that, I was a financial professional.
Okay.
John Nothing has a great question. Teaching a language without being bilingual. That's actually yes, John. When you go to a country, even if you do speak the language, the only lie I advise people to tell, you never tell them you speak the native language. Why? Because you don't ever want it spoken in your classroom. If you're teaching these people the fundamentals of vowels and syllables, you don't want them to backslide into speaking their own language, because that hurts the whole class. The entire class needs to be thinking in English, forming phrases, reading things. And if one person says something in their native language, it's like you hit the gear shift in a car without hitting the clutch. You drag everybody back. So you never want that. And when you go places, you say, no, I don't speak that language. Do you speak any other languages?
Little Spanish, not fluent, very basic.
Very basic?
Yeah.
If you speak very basic Spanish, I would go online tomorrow, find an intensive Spanish class, find a TEFL in Spain, a big city like Barcelona or someplace like that.
Mm-hmm.
Go there, get the job done there. Go there, speak, because you're in training. It's okay if you speak the language, but get your Spanish up as hard as you can. Like, I mean, and when I say go hard at it, I mean go hard like second job. Like every day after work, you're going to learn for 2 or 3 hours to get your Spanish synced in.
Yeah.
Go to that other country, the Spanish-speaking country. It could be Colombia. It could be Spain. I think if you speak Spanish, you can communicate with something like 50% of the world. I mean, some huge number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Colombia or go to Spain or any other Spanish-speaking country, get your TEFL certificate, and then from there, decide where do I want to branch out to. You know, put the resume out there. You'll have people coming after you, not just because you have the certificate, but because you have a university education. You can go anywhere and do anything.
Okay.
I mean, without question, you can go anywhere and do anything. I don't want to run you over by talking. Give me some hard questions here.
So I guess, but you kind of spoke to that earlier. One of my concerns was I was prepared to take a cut in pay, you know, coming from corporate America. From what I've seen, the little research that I've seen, you know, the pay was drastically different, which was fine because, like you say, I wanted to start having multiple streams of income anyway. So that really wasn't a major concern for me. But can you speak a bit to the salary difference or salary
absolutely.
that you would be expecting?
Here's the thing. The salary that I tell you, it doesn't matter because where you go, you'll be earning middle class there.
Okay.
Now, here's what I will tell you too. I would say, especially first year, expect to make a lot less money. Expect not to make much at all. There are other things you got to factor in, though. You're going into a new industry. It'll be your first year. You're young enough to take that hit without bleeding too much.
Absolutely.
2, you're going to other countries in the world, and I'm going to say something, you know, I love the United States of America. I'm an American. However, living outside of America, you can see the holes in your own system. You can't appreciate your own system until you get out. Imagine living in countries where healthcare is a right, not a privilege. If, and I hope it never happens, something weird happens. You're in the shower. You find a lump on your breast. But you know that at the very most, you just have to get to the hospital because the government's going to make sure you get your mammograms and all that other stuff. Healthcare isn't a privilege that people have to earn if you're good enough. By good enough, I mean have enough money. That's a big one. Imagine going to places where, and I'm just going to tell you, for me, in my life experience, I have felt safer being a Black American than every other place in the world. There are violent places in the world. I've seen violence in the world. I want to tell you, bad things happen. But the United States is the only place that I've ever lived, and there may be other places like that in the world, where I can just get shot in a supermarket.
Absolutely.
There's violence in Brazil. People say, oh, Brazil's violent. Sure, there are places that's violent, but I don't live in poverty in America, so I don't see the violence here. And 2, I've never heard of somebody walking in and shooting up a supermarket here.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, I'm sure it may have happened, but it's one of those weird and rare things, you know?
Yeah.
But little things like that matter. I mean, could you find violence everywhere? Yes. Will you find it in a more abundant United States? Yes. Also, as a gun lover, I can tell you, guns are awesome. But if I could snap my fingers and say nobody had guns, I would. In the United States, everybody gets to have a gun. Not just people like me who like guns, but went through a bunch of training for it. I'm not trying to scare you off America because America is a great country. I'm glad to have been born there. I'll never give up my citizenship. But you gain a different perspective when you see other things.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, that's so true. So very true. And like you say, I love America. I'm an American, but like I think if I had taken that study abroad, I wouldn't be here now. You know, I don't really. I don't know. I'm just not fulfilled here any longer. You know, I'm seeking more.
Yeah, I understand. So just to get this first round of bullet points. 1, don't wait. decide on your birthday you're going to wake up as a student learner. Now that might mean you start class the next week. That might mean you had to leave a week early. What that means is you get out and you get it done. If you need me to help you by filtering through schools, we can talk about that. If you need me to help you through forming letters to get accepted to those places, although most of them will accept you if you can pay for it, but there's still going to be a process, I can help you with that. But make the decision to go. And you said you were going to go to what country when you were in Trio?
Spain.
Spain? Okay, get Spain out of your system. Learn your TOEFL. And you know what, let me go online right now and see Cambridge, Spain. What's the capital of Spain? Madrid, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what they have there. Cambridge, Madrid.
So what is the average cost of like actually attending an academy to get the TOEFL certificate versus online? Like I've seen a variation in price depending on the program, I guess.
Depends on the program, depends on the legitimacy. That's what I do for people when they give me a list of places they want to go. They hire me to just do all the footwork and give them the top 3 different countries. Here's some CELTA courses in Madrid. And here's just a bunch of different places. 1,600 euro for that one. I don't know. Let me see. 30 classes per week. Spanish Madrid. I mean, this is just a random place that I found.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the best, what they will do, the best ones, by the way, and here's the structure. Full-time, 4 days a week, 9 to 5. And Saturdays, 10 to 2. What I would say then is you need to find the best for, look at that. Let's see. So here's Spain. Let's look at Barcelona. So we said 1,600 euros for the other one. What's the conversion euros right now? I don't even know.
I'm not sure.
1,500 here, 1,400 if you pay early. So 16 EUR in USD. Can you see the screen?
I can.
$2,000. Let's say you're looking at $2,000.
Okay.
Okay. You're gonna be looking at $2,000. You're gonna see what it. Let's just take a random assistance with job opportunities, assistance with accommodation. Let's say you're looking at $2,000 for the school, and I'm just ballparking it in a random city. Yeah, you would. And what I would do is, see, they're talking about sun, sangria, and to go on a holiday vacation. I think that's a good idea to go to Spain. I wouldn't even look at it like oh, hello, Dante, and thank you. I wouldn't even look at it like a holiday. I would say I'm in Spain and I'm just going to grind out this month of classes, because I can tell you, a lot of the young under 30 people who go in for TOEFL and CELTA and all that start making a little bit of money, maybe there's more money than they had before, or realize they're making a middle-class income. They want to go out every night. They want to do this. They want to do that. You go out there and say, I'm just pass this course. And there are some things I can give you to help you pass if you have trouble with that. But get out there and just start passing that course. There are things that I've taught some of my other clients to do to make themselves more marketable when they leave. Get out there, pass that course, and already say, hey, we can even preload it by saying the before you go to your class, the day before, send out things to a lot of countries and say, I'm going to be graduating in 1 month. I'm interested in coming to your country to work for your school. What do you have open? But the game is real. I mean, you can get out there and you can get it again. I can't stress how proud I am that you have 2 university degrees, and now you're going to get this. You can really put together a formula. By the way, what did you study?
I have a bachelor's in psychology and social work, and my master's is in social work.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
We have to talk psychology. Do you read psychology for fun, or do you just did it for school?
I do.
Okay,
I am all about human behavior.
Really? You studied the behavioralists?
Human behavior, yes. That was my favorite course in school was human behavior.
Huh. Who do you read? Who do you enjoy now? Anybody contemporary?
Right now I am actually, well, I just actually got into Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you are familiar with Abraham Hicks.
No,
Um,
tell me about it.
well, this really isn't based off psychology. This is more on the law of attraction and those types of things. So that's what I've been reading up on lately.
Huh.
Yeah, I have to check
Okay.
Abraham out.
Well, what I do know is that you tend to get what you give. I don't know if that's what they call art of attraction, but my
Yeah.
introduction to psychology were people who were like Dr. Robert Cialdini influence.
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar with that one? Who else? I mean, just a lot of those. We'll have to have a separate chat about that one day.
Absolutely.
Okay. So getting back to it, get there, find one, take that class beforehand, just like you pre-apply to all the different TEFL and TOEFL places to get your certification. Look at all the different countries. Now, I told you about my two ways of looking at it. One is, say you come to a place like Brazil, where you can just basically set yourself up and go get clients. I would say don't do that until you have the experience to be able to run the business side as well as the technical how I teach side.
Absolutely.
I would say a place like China or Japan where they just have extraordinary amounts of structure.
Mm-hmm.
You could go there just to learn your craft and say a year in Japan and then a year in China, and then after that 2 years break off and start your own practice, because you have things available to you now that I didn't. They could make sure when you did break off into your own practice, because I mean, YouTube wasn't even a thing when I started. Could you imagine if I'd been able to start a YouTube channel as a teacher for English and editing and writing while I was still training, and then when I was done or after my first year of working for a company, you would have students lined up around the door, because every week you could put out videos saying, "Here's what I worked on with my clients today. Here's some of the English teaching, and by the way, I went to this place." That's and I tell people this all the time. I'll tell you something else. You also have an advantage that I don't think enough women take advantage of. Being a cute young woman will open huge doors. Like YouTube was made for you. You will get people to look at your stuff based on that alone. You know, and that's not an insult and it's not misogyny. It's just a reality. Capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
You know, get out there and use that social media, because all you need is one or two clients to nest. We call it nesting. I have a couple of clients that are extraordinarily large that contract me to work with all their executive board.
Oh, wow.
That's when you hear the money rolling in. When you start doing a good enough job with one or two people that they go to their boss and say, "Listen, this person is teaching me corporate level English that has helped me make this contract work, that has helped me in this other country, that helped me when I went to London, that helped me when I went to New York. We need him teaching our other people in this company." Now you've got a real lucrative situation. It actually gets to the point where you don't want to run a systematic risk, because a lot of them will come to you and say, "Listen, why don't we just hire you full time in house?" No. So you can work me to death? Nope. They're gonna have you an 8-hour workday, 7 hours. It's gonna be 1-hour classes. First you'll have the president, the vice president, then 4 people on the staff, and they're all gonna be different levels. Then your head's gonna explode, and suddenly it's not worth it. Whereas when you work for yourself, you can also fire students. Like if a student comes to me and I get that feeling and I ask sometime, "Why are you doing this?" If they tell me because my boss is making me, you have companies that will tell their client, tell their workers, "You've got a year to pass this English exam. If you don't get a score this high on this next English exam, you're getting fired." And then they got a pistol to their head, right?
Okay.
And they want to come to you and say, "Teach me English in 1 year." Huh?
But
I get those messages on my phone.
Yeah.
I get those messages. "Hey, my friend is one of your clients, and can we have classes?" I say, "Well, listen, let's sit." I never say yes over the phone. "Let's have a cup of coffee. I want to find out where you are and find out how I can help you."
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I can pay you now because I just need to learn English." Well, it's not like you're buying a hamburger.
Right.
And it happened. It really happens. And doing this, it's your ticket around the world. I spent 2 years in many countries before I decided I wanted to get a second passport in Brazil. What are your top 3 countries?
I'm really open. Spain is definitely one, but I'm not Thailand, really, really Singapore. I'm just really open. Like I say, I'm very flexible at this time. It's only myself. I don't have any kids. So I just want to see the world. So I'm willing to travel multiple different countries and see what fits me best. I'm willing to do that. I'm
Thailand
open.
was awesome. I had a good time out there. I lived there for a couple years.
Oh
That's me trying
wow.
to get on an elephant.
So
My
how
mother
long have
told me,
you been doing this? How long have you actually been abroad working?
that's my mom on an elephant. I'll tell you something creepy. I realized, I don't know, last year, maybe even the year before that, I realized I've lived outside the United States most of my adult life.
Wow.
That's the thing. And it sneaks up on you.
It does. Time
It sneaks up on you.
zooms by. It really does. Wow. So I guess my concern would be, I know that you say go there and get the certificate. I guess from my point of view, I was thinking of doing the certificate online. That way I would still be having income at the time until I could get a job. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I have enough saved up to be able to to stop working, take the course until I find work. You get what I'm saying?
So, and this is me going back into speaking to you in the voice that I use as a financial professional, working with clients of all ages and stripes. What percentage of your salary are you saving right now?
Not enough. Not
Because
enough.
here's the thing: a single person with a job and no kids, 20% needs to be going in a hole somewhere,
Mm.
minimum. No, you're not in that 20% mark.
No, not
15,
20.
15% every month. What do you consistently tell me you're doing something?
I'm doing something, but not as much as I need to be. I
Okay.
do know that I need to save more, but I am. I am. I would say close to like 15%. But it's like I'll
Consist-
still have responsibilities back in the States. I'll still have a car note. I'll still have student
well,
loans. So
why
it's
would you
like,
still have a car note?
because I have a car. What can I
Sell
do
it.
with the car? Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
I
even.
didn't.
Matter of fact, everything in your house right now, you either sell it. If you can't sell it, you call your friends over and give them a bunch of stuff. Anything they don't want to take, you Craigslist it. But don't tell yourself that you have to stay with your stuff. Your stuff isn't you. Your car isn't
Absolutely.
you. Because more
No.
than often, what ends up happening is you're going to go see the world, and a year and a half later, you're going to be paying this car note on a car. You're going to say, I don't even know when I'm going back because when I'm done here, I want to go see this other country.
Yeah, that's
Do
true.
you budget?
I do.
Because one of the things, and I will show you, people will always ask me, do I practice what I preach, and am I frugally living? I make enough money to live in a lot of places and do a lot of things, but I have a budget that I keep. I make sure that I'm going to show you my Sao Paulo, Brazil budget. I don't know if you can see that on your screen. This is how much I spend for everything here in my Sao Paulo, Brazil, my apartment, everything. Maid, electricity. Oh,
Okay, I can
hold
see
on.
that now.
I don't know what happened. Everything. So if you want to go check that out later, it's the Sao Paulo, Brazil expense report.
Okay.
Your birthday is how many months from now?
Like next month, because it's already September pretty much.
Here's the thing. If you say 2020, it's August, September, October, November, December. That's 3 months, right?
Yeah.
2020 happens in 3 months. You got the travel rush first week of January. January 15th, the middle of January, can you say you want to wake up someplace else?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you can you go to the mattresses, as they used to say to the old gangster movies, like for 3 months? Can you change your life to the point where you're only cooking and eating in your house? When your friends call you and say, let's go hang out, you say, why don't we play cards at my house? Why? Because I'm really saving to do this overseas thing. And I mean, seriously, sell all your stuff. And for 3 months, just live like you were a homeless person, except you're under a house. Saving, just scrounging pennies, just squeezing them all till they cry. Because when you leave, to have that little bit of a nest egg, to have a couple, like I tell people when they come to Brazil, everybody knows, oh, well, I'm going to go to Brazil and I'll just take a little bit of money because the exchange rate. No. You come to Brazil, I want you to have at least $6,000 in your pocket. $6,000 US, which is not a lot unless you don't have anything. $6,000 will make sure that you can get here, get a little apartment, get situated, look for the right place you want to work, or if you want to work for yourself without the gun to your head. I only got enough money to last a month, so I got to get a job. Now you got to work for some dirtbag company that's going to pay you pennies. No, you don't want that. You want to be able to say, and meet some people.
Absolutely.
It's all about discipline. I mean, I only have one or two really interesting things about me. One of my major superpowers is discipline. I'm willing to do things nobody else wants to do longer than they can do it. And I've made a lot of success in life that way. Nobody likes living frugally, but I did it a couple of years while I was young. By the time, again, 37, I was out of the game. I can just travel the world now.
Yeah.
Totally possible. I'm not special. That's something I stress. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm what happens if you just have a plan and grind that plan out. But if you could go in January, February, get that Celta class done, and then in February hit a place like Tokyo, China. I mean, Tokyo is a city, China is a country. Hit Tokyo, Japan, or Shanghai, China, and just say, I'm going to work in this company for 1 year just to learn the business, learn how people behave, learn how things go, and still have that time to mingle with other international people and adjust because it's going to be hard. I would actually say Japan is one of the softest landings you can have because they stress it's just order. It's just order. Help you get your apartment and have time to breathe.
Yeah.
And then you're going to deal with another entire set of problems once you do become an international person. But that's a different discussion. Ask me something difficult.
So I guess what has been the most difficult thing as a Black American transitioning abroad for you? Well, I guess it would be different as being a male versus a female, but what, for your personal experience, what has been?
You know what? I'll address that first. I understand the advantage I have being a big man. I've gone places, taken invitations to parties that are down 2 dark alleys and turn left and listen for the music. I have a younger cousin who is this young, educated, beautiful woman. And when she told me she wanted to travel, I was terrified. Because I know, let's say I go to this is totally not like me. I go to this roughest, toughest part of town for whatever reason I don't know. The worst thing that can happen is I get killed. That's not the worst thing that can happen to Jasmine. So as a woman, will you have to be extra careful? Yes. But if you live in the United States, you're probably being extra careful as it is.
Yeah.
The way I explain it is there are very, very few dangerous men out there. Unfortunately, the ones that are so extraordinarily dangerous, you don't want to be unprepared for that. So the most difficult thing, you said being a Black man traveling abroad. How about this? It's difficult to get your head around the fact that when you're traveling, you're an American that's Black, not a Black American. That's small. You're an American that's Black. Because your Americanness will supersede so many other things.
Even your Blackness.
I'll tell you something that people don't tell you about traveling the world because they don't know, or the United States government and the people in it have a vested interest in making sure you don't know this. People love you. When people say, I hate Americans, they're never talking about us. Nobody looks at us and says, you dropped a bomb on my grandmother. Nobody looks at us and says, yo, people sent the order to occupy my country.
Right. And I kind of experienced that in China. I heard a lot of mixed reviews about Black Americans going to China, but I had a wonderful experience in China. They were very welcoming, and I had no issues whatsoever.
And here's the thing. There's going to be racism everywhere. I'll tell you what a lot of people misinterpret as racism. When you go to a country like Japan or China, you'll never be Japanese or Chinese. You're always going to be a foreigner and you're Black.
And you're going to stand out.
Yeah. Well, here's something else that people don't think about. You go to a place like China, something you could interpret as severe racism might be foreignerism, as in those countries, people who don't like foreigners don't like foreigners.
Yeah.
At all. Exactly. Yeah. Period. So now what happens when you go to a place and what you take as, I had a friend who wanted to go to some club and she was told, we don't let you in here. She thought it's because she was Black, and our Chinese friends were like, no, if you're not Chinese, you can't go into the club. That's just not a place for foreigners. When I was in Japan, I went into a shop and I asked the guy, do you carry, I don't know what it was I needed. Let's say it was a battery for a camera. Back when people carried cameras and not phones. He said, I'm sorry, I can't sell you that because I don't sell things to foreigners. But let me take you someplace where you can buy it. So he closed his shop, walked me 3 blocks to buy something he had, but he's like, no, my business, we don't do business with foreigners, but I can still help you, which was, that's a, Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
It is. So what about?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you go someplace, take being Black with you. You'd be amazed how many people I've sat down with foreigners who can barely speak English and wanted to talk to me about whether or not I supported more of W.E.B. Du Bois' Talented 10th argument, and is it true that, in my opinion, only 10% would be successful, or I was more like Marcus Garvey, who thought that we could all just take a grassroots effort. I've had these conversations because what you don't know is that people know about us everywhere, because we're Black Americans are such a unique thing in the universe that went from where we were and the injustices that we were suffered upon to the potential that we have now. Racism is real in America. Don't get me wrong. We're still being murdered at extraordinary rates, but our perseverance, they've written college courses about us. Now, you'll never hear that on television. Democrat, Republican, or Independent, they do not want you to know that. But do you know how many countries in the world have these long-standing colonies of Black Americans who escaped America and went there? The most famous being in Paris. Have you ever heard about those?
I have not.
Yeah. Google Black Americans Paris. Paris has been a place where Black Americans have gone for a very long time. Let me think.
So what about the online teaching of English? So I know I've seen some programs where you can actually teach online. Do you have any experience with those?
A lot of my friends do it, but I would say don't do that unless you know what you're doing already.
Okay.
Do you remember I Am Not Your Negro?
I don't think.
About James Baldwin?
Oh, yes.
Did you watch it?
It's been a long time.
For everybody else who hasn't, I want you to go watch this. But I'll give you a very interesting point I'm going to make. Where was James Baldwin at the beginning of the story?
I don't remember.
He was in Paris, struggling with whether or not he should go back to the United States.
Wow.
Even before his time, Paris was a place that just embraced Black American folks. There are places like that all over the world. You'll never hear about them.
I also heard Germany was a place that a lot of Black Americans go.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Dirty little secret, you'll find us everywhere. Because here's the thing that happens with us is, are you familiar with the process of brain drain?
Brain drain? No.
Yeah. Brain drain is the social and economic process through which the best, brightest, most educated, and talented of any country or population leave their native place to go someplace else. Let me give you an example. If you were born in India and you were in the top 5% of all the most brilliant Indian people in India, would you live in India?
No.
Where would you go live?
Probably America. That's what they
Exactly.
say.
Now, I'm going to ask you another trick question. If you were in the top 5% of the most brilliant Mexicans in Mexico, would you live in Mexico?
No.
Where would you go live?
America.
Now, if you're in the top 5% of educated and successful Black Americans, would you live in America?
No.
Now you see the problem that America, specifically Black America, has, which is a different conversation. Those of us who have this as an option have been leaving the United States quietly, often more and more quietly, but in record numbers.
Wow.
I have cousins who are regular men who have decent careers and jobs and love their families, who don't have the privilege of education, who weren't able to go to college. They can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I can look around and say, and you can look around and say, I don't like the way the things are going here. I'll go someplace else.
Yeah.
That's true for most of the smartest Black people you know aren't retiring in America. They're leaving earlier. Before, it was like a middle-aged retirement thing to leave the United States. Now, I know people from online that have had these conversations with me, that have contracted me to help them with different things, who are graduating college and immediately leaving.
Yeah.
Saying, what's the point of having an education if I don't have privilege in life? And what is privilege if not to live in a place that is safe?
Absolutely. Wow. That's insightful. I did not know that.
You got something else written down there?
I think we've hit a lot of my bigger. So I guess I see that like a lot of programs may offer like accommodations as far as like living accommodations. Is that more so if you're going to like the primary school age or the working with younger school
No,
age
all the
kids?
places are different. That's something we can go through, but that's all the different places that are doing that. You just went sideways on me.
I think my phone.
There you go.
Can you see me now? Okay.
Yeah. Depends on the place. And again, I stress to people, for your first time out of the gate, you'll say, well, there's this company who will pay me a lot more money, but I get no support in anything. They just say, show up for the job. And this company pays me a lot less, but they take care of all those little details. Your first year out of the gate, take the lesser money and get somebody who's going to do all the stuff for you. You're going to have a hard enough time starting a new job, a new career, and in a new country. Don't give yourself the added stress of, oh, I need to look for an apartment. I got to get my cable turned on. Oh, the apartment didn't come with a bed. How do I get a bed? I can't speak this language.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable. That makes sense.
You know, little things like that matter.
So where was your first teaching job?
Wow. You know, I'm at a point in my life where things kind of mush together and I don't know what happened first. Let me think. I got to come back to you on that.
Okay. Well, what would you say has been, I guess, is Brazil your favorite country? Is that
So
why
far,
you are still absolutely okay?
Yeah. Yeah, so far, yeah. That's why I'm going to stay here and get my information. I'm going to still travel, but I want to get my other information.
Let me grab my earpiece. Hold on. So how often do you come back to the U.S.?
I haven't been in a long time. I go, every couple of years, but it's been about 4 years now.
So, does she come to visit you in the countries that you are
I
in,
haven't been
or?
able to get her to Brazil. My dad's dead. I couldn't get my mom out here.
Okay.
She's complicated. I'm complicated. We are complicated people. She just doesn't.
I've talked about this with, like I say, I'm not married. I don't have any kids. My mom and I, we've always been pretty close. She was a single parent growing up, so we've had a great relationship. And I've told her that my desire is to go live and work abroad. And she's like, well, I'm coming abroad too. But
Right.
so yeah, but she's retired. So she would have to go through like trying to get a visa and all of that stuff, right?
So
Like would she have to be sponsored? Like I don't know. I've been reading like some things. I haven't really did a deep
do
dive
you
into it.
understand that if your mother decided to, she could just go to Spain with you and take the Celta course?
Yeah, she could. She really could. Never thought about that. That's a good idea though. Take a sentence in Spanish.
You
Absolutely.
blanked out for me for a minute.
I was reading. What did you type that?
Yeah.
I was reading what you typed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. 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 I was trying to think if I had any other questions that we haven't. I'm sure I'll have tons once we get off. But I would like to work further with you in this
Okay.
process. So
Cool.
absolutely.
And what I was also going to say to you, if you can't find intensive Spanish classes, get a Rosetta Stone. Get Rosetta
Yeah.
Stone and see how far you can go with that. And you can do it with your mom. But if your mom says she wants to travel abroad, sit down with her now and say, listen, middle of January, I'll be on this airplane going to another country to learn. How old is your mother?
My mom is 62.
Does she draw retirement?
She does.
She has so many advantages right now.
Really?
Yeah. She wouldn't have to do anything. Yeah. Some of the people I work with and some of the business things I do, there are places that all she would have to do is go through some paperwork, show them her retirement income, and they'll be like, okay, you can just live here now. Because she's not going to be a vagrant. Remember, you can't go to another country with no job. But if you're retired, they love retirees because they know you got that money pumping in, that USA cash you're going to spend on a house out there and things out there. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, let's wrap it up for tonight.
Okay.
We're going to do this again. We'll talk privately. I hope I'll be able to help.
You have been a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah, well, let's do this then. I'm gonna turn off the feed, and then I'll say a few things to you offline, and then I got to get to bed. And I was glad to help.
Okay.
So you should see. Let me know when you see the end broadcast pop up, because let's see, 4,